The ancient era before European arrival. Long before Europeans arrived, North America was inhabited by millions of Native Americans, also known as indigenous peoples. They had rich cultures, traditions, and civilizations that thrived for thousands of years. Tribes such as the Cherokee, Navajo, Sioux, Iroquois, Apache, and Hopi lived across the continent, each with their own language, religion, and social system. They built villages, grew crops like corn and beans, hunted animals, and traded with other tribes. This period represents the original American history, a land of tribes, harmony with nature, and self-sustaining societies. European exploration and colonization 149 to 160 OS. The story of modern America began in 1492, when Christopher Columbus, sailing for Spain, accidentally discovered the Americas while trying to find a new route to Asia. After this discovery, European powers such as Spain, France, England, and the Netherlands began exploring and colonizing the New World. Spain colonized the South and West Florida, Mexico, California. France controlled the North, Canada and Louisiana. And England established colonies along the eastern coast of what is now the United States. By the early 1600s, England had founded 13 colonies, starting with Jamestown, Virginia 1607, the first permanent English settlement in North America. The 13 colonies and the road to independence, 1607-1776. Over the next century, the 13 colonies grew rapidly in population and economy. However, they were still under British rule, and Britain imposed heavy taxes and strict trade laws on the colonists. The colonists began to feel that they had no freedom and no representation in British Parliament, giving rise to the slogan, "No taxation without representation." This discontent led to protests, boycotts, and finally, the American Revolution. In 1775, fighting broke out between British soldiers and colonial militias, marking the start of the American Revolutionary War. Independence and the Birth of a Nation 1776-1783. On July 4, 1776, representatives from the 13 colonies signed the Declaration of Independence, written primarily by Thomas Jefferson. This document declared that the colonies were free and independent from Britain. Under the leadership of General George Washington, the American forces fought a long and difficult war. Finally, in 1783, with the signing of the Treaty of Paris, Great Britain officially recognized the United States of America as an independent nation, building a new government 1787-1860. After independence, the new country needed a stable system of government. In 1787, the U.S. Constitution was written, creating a federal system with 3 branches: the executive president, the legislative Congress, the judicial Supreme Court. George Washington became the first president in 1789, setting many traditions that future presidents would follow. During this period, the United States began expanding westward, buying new lands, such as the Louisiana Purchase 1803 from France, which doubled the size of the country. However, one major issue divided the nation: slavery. The northern states opposed it, while the southern states depended on it for their plantations and economy. This growing tension would soon lead to war. The American Civil War 1861-1865. In 1861, 11 southern states seceded, broke away from the Union, and formed the Confederate States of America, defending their right to keep slavery. The Northern States Union, led by President Abraham Lincoln, fought to preserve the nation and end slavery. The Civil War became the deadliest conflict in U.S. history. After 4 years of brutal fighting, the Union Army defeated the Confederacy in 1865. Slavery was officially abolished through the 13th Amendment, and Lincoln's leadership became a symbol of unity and equality. Reconstruction and industrial growth 1865-1914. After the war, America entered a time known as Reconstruction, rebuilding the South and granting rights to formerly enslaved people. At the same time, the U.S. economy began to industrialize rapidly. Factories, railroads, and cities expanded dramatically. Immigrants from Europe flooded into America in search of better lives, helping build the nation's economy. By the late 1800s, the U.S. became one of the world's leading industrial powers, producing steel, oil, and new technologies such as the telephone and electricity. 8. The World Wars and Rise to Global Power 1914-1945. When World War I began in 1914, the U.S. at first stayed neutral but joined the war in 1917 to help defeat Germany. After the war, the U.S. emerged as a powerful and wealthy nation. In 1939, World War II broke out. The U.S. entered the war in 1941 after Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. America fought on two fronts in Europe, against Nazi Germany, and in the Pacific, against Japan. By 1945, the Allies, led by the U.S., won the war. The U.S. also became the first and only country to use atomic bombs, dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, leading to Japan's surrender. After the war, the United States stood as one of the two global superpowers. The Cold War era 1945-1991. The Cold War was a period of political and military tension between the United States and the Soviet Union (USSR). It was not a direct war but a competition for global influence, technology, and ideology. Democracy versus communism. Key events of this period include the Korean War 1950-1953, the Cuban Missile Crisis 1962, the Vietnam War 1955-1975, the space race, where in 1969, astronaut Neil Armstrong became the first human to walk on the moon. During this time, the U.S. also made progress in civil rights led by figures like Martin Luther King Jr., who fought for racial equality. By 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, marking the end of the Cold War, and the U.S. remained the world's only superpower. The modern United States 1991 present. After the Cold War, the U.S. became deeply involved in global affairs. In 2001, the terrorist attacks on September 11, 9/11 shocked the world, leading the U.S. to start wars in Afghanistan and later Iraq. The 21st century brought major changes, advances in technology, communication, and globalization. In 2008, Barack Obama was elected as the first African American president. Today, the U.S. continues to lead in fields like science, military power, space exploration, and culture. However, it also faces challenges including political division, climate change, and social inequality. Conclusion: the history of the United States is a story of struggle, courage, and constant evolution, from a land of native tribes to colonies, from revolution to democracy, from civil war to global leadership. It is a nation that continues to shape the modern world with its ideas of freedom, innovation, and equality.